Podcast, produced by Jude McLaren, and I'm your host, Dan Miller. Thank you for joining us for this week's podcast, and please help us out by subscribing to our podcast on YouTube, Apple Podcasts, or wherever you are watching, and please give us a follow on Twitter. Tonight's podcast is brought to you by our sponsors, both right here in beautiful San Marcos, Texas. Pie Society is an excellent stop in San Marcos for great New York-style pizzas made with the freshest ingredients, local beers on tap, and overall fun and cool vibe. And come into Zellick's Ice House. Zellick's has a great happy hour, drink specials, their outside patio, and a great time with friends. Tonight, we are excited to welcome for the 10th podcast, Coach Tim Miles, San Jose State head men's basketball coach, who won his 400th game this year. And Coach Miles has coached at all different levels and rebuilt many programs, including Mayville State and NCAA Division II SMSU, brought them to the Elite Eight at Division II, transitioned North Dakota State to Division I, and then turned around Colorado State, got them into the program, was hired at Nebraska the 2014 Big Ten Coach of the Year, got them into the NCAA tournament. Now he's in his second year, ready to build the San Jose Spartans. Coach Miles, thank you for coming on tonight, and welcome to Basketball and Brew.
Hey, I got two things to tell you. One is I was the 2014 Big Ten Coach of the Year. I only had to beat out 11 other guys. I told Nick Cronin he's going to have to beat out 19 other guys if he wants to be the Big Ten Coach of the Year.
Shoot, Coach, you got USC, and I saw when you put that on Twitter. That was a great tweet. USC, and they thought Nebraska was a far drive. Come on.
Yeah, right?
It's crazy.
It's going to be crazy. Now, the other thing is you do a great job with that read. I had a podcast for when I was out of college basketball, and I was with the Field of 68, really kind of invented that network for Jeff Goodman and Rob Dostler. Right. Without me, I think the thing tanks, but that's just me. But they had one of their first sponsors. We had some betting stuff, and then we had Manscaped.
Okay.
So you read really well. You should hear me try and read Manscaped.
Yeah.
I mean, they did finally, they fired me, and I got back into coaching, and now they hired Pete Davidson, the Saturday Night Live guy dating the Kardashian girl. He's the Manscaped guy now. So I guess it's an upgrade. I'm not sure. I'm contesting it, but well done on your reads. I want to go to both those places. So that's
okay.
Awesome.
Hey, Coach, when you come through Texas to recruit, stop by both spots. They're really good. I got you, Coach. Basketball and Brew, baby. Coach, that leads you to my first question. You're out of coaching and you're coming back in. I know you probably are looking at jobs that come open. Why San Jose State, Coach?
Well, it started at I wanted to be in the Mountain West Conference.
Mm-hmm.
I love that league. If you think about it, as a Division I coach, I've only been in 2 conferences. I was a head Division I coach for now 13 years, 13 seasons. I was in the Mountain West the first time. 16 seasons. Mountain West the first time. When I was at North Dakota State, we were Division I independent.
Right.
So we played Texas Pan American, and that was a game for us, a road trip.
Way down there.
Played Utah Valley on Thursday and Pan American on Saturday afternoon. That was crazy travel back then, but so I wanted to be in the Mountain West, and I kind of looked at San Jose State as some of these other jobs that I'd taken. Mayville had been 4-44 before we got there, and we won 2 leagues right away.
Yep.
Southwest State, where you had spent some time coaching, with good friends of mine and former coaches and players.
Right.
Had only had 1 winning season in like 15 seasons, and we got it flipped and got it going. And then we took North Dakota State from Division II to Division I. So I just kind of felt like, okay, this place has been neglected. This is kind of a, Brent Brennan, the football coach, who does a terrific job. I said, how come I always take the hard job? They call me Coach FEMA. I only take over disasters.
Right.
So, and he goes, some guys, that's just who they are. That's their DNA, and they're attracted to that. And I suppose that makes some sense on some certain level. And I really felt like, hey, I can put my fingerprints all over this thing. And the president and the athletic director, the CFO were all on board. They wanted a veteran coach. They hadn't hired a veteran head coach in a long time. And the other guys that were here, tried their best and did what they could. But this is a tough league. Yep. And we're trying to carve out our niche here in the middle of Silicon Valley, one of the most prosperous places in the world, and trying to create a name for ourselves. And you got you would think Golden State would work for you, right? In terms of the popularity of the Warriors.
Yep.
And so we're hoping to, maybe, play a brand of basketball that's exciting, just like, now I don't know if I have Steph Curry. So,
no one does.
We'll have to be Golden State light, but we'll see how that goes.
Yeah, right. Well, you have everything there, Coach, and I can't wait to see what you do with it here year two and just watch you rebuild it. Coach, when you're rebuilding a program, how do you, when you're recruiting players, obviously you want to bring the best players on. Do you rebuild by bringing the best players and then figure out a system that works with these best players, or do you have a great system and then go out for look for guys that are going to fit the Tim Miles system?
Yeah. So, my system is more philosophical in nature, I think, not
Mm-hmm.
schematic.
Okay.
We don't run fast break basketball. We're a base man defense.
Mm-hmm.
And we start by, here's what I always say to my assistant coaches: let's eliminate losing
Yep.
in everything that we do, with the daily fundamentals,
Love
with
that.
whatever. Let's just eliminate losing first. So, you start as you're bringing in guys. It's like, okay, who can help us eliminate losing? Like, so I took this Alvaro Cardenas, a little guard out of Spain, Granada, Spain. His dad was a coach for a long time, and he's a teacher at a college now. And I talked to him and fell in love with him. He knew the game. He, we'll be in practice and he'll say, hey, you line up there, because he knows this guy's only going to dribble to his right hand. And so if we get him all over there, it's not going to work. And that eliminates losing, right?
Right.
That basketball intellect, basketball IQ. So things like that would be a tangible example of what we need. So that's what we first start with. So we first start with the characteristics and the people we want to coach and build with, that will work hard, do hard things, and know the game and love to compete. And they might be an underdog here and there, right?
Right.
And I think special things can happen. And I just feel strongly at San Jose State last year. We were going okay. Then we had a rash of injuries, and then COVID hit, and we just never really responded. Then at the end of the year, when we got at least our center back, we played better basketball. And so I'm confident and excited about our future this particular season, especially. And I think it should be a lot of fun. It's always you need to stay patient building. I didn't take any of these jobs for my career record. You mentioned I'd won 400 games. Thank God I just haven't lost 400 yet, but I've lost a hell of a lot more than Mike Krzyzewski. So when you go and take these jobs, that there's going to be some hard times, and I'm willing to endure that for the greater good and to build a winner for this university and this community and these young guys, so they can build something and have that for the rest of their lives. And every one of those kids that I had at Mayville, Southwest State, NDSU, Division II and Division I, Colorado State, Nebraska, they all have those experiences of different times of lifetime successes that they can, lay their head on their pillow and know that hard work paid off.
Right. Coach, I love that. The FEMA coach, first of all, that's awesome. But Coach, at Colorado State, you got better every single year. And, when you left, you guys were in the NCAA tournament before you left to go to take Nebraska. What is the step that you have to do in a very good league? Because, man, your league is good, Coach. When I was watching Synergy, I'm like, you got a lot of good teams there. What is the step you guys need to do here in year two that you're looking to make?
Well, if you want to get better every year, just be terrible your first year. All right. So,
smart.
Okay, we start by eliminating losing. Okay, let's just talk about that, right?
Yep.
So maybe now we get some more credibility, we get some quality wins, we get a little better. Now we're able to get a little higher level recruit, a guy that sees that we're making progress. He sees his opportunity there. Now he gets a chance to help out. You get a little better and a little better. This league, when I grew up in the Midwest, I forget who it was that told me, I think it was Kyle Green, whose son AJ Green just signed an NBA contract. But Kyle said, the league reminds me in the Mountain West, only there's 5 or 6 NBA kids in the league, and it's a well-coached league. I call it Big Ten light. You've got Steve Fisher, Brian Dutch down Fisher at San Diego State. I'm up here at San Jose. Justin Hudson was a longtime assistant for Steve Fisher and Lon Kruger. Lon Kruger was head coach at UNLV. Now Kevin's there. Lon was in the Big Ten at Illinois. Richard Pitino's down at New Mexico. Steve Alford's up at
Iowa.
Nevada. And Nico went to Minnesota. He coached me at Colorado State. There's a lot of guys that have a lot of experience in that league. So you get a very physical league, super athletic, very sound defensively, hard to guard, hard to go against teams that are really hard to score on. And so you need some playmakers, and it's been I've been in this league 6 seasons now, 5 at CSU, 1 at San Jose. And 5 of those 6 years, we put more teams in the NCAA tournament than the Pac-12 or even the Pac-10 back then. Only
Wow.
1 year did the Pac put more teams in the NCAA tournament than our league did. So
Wow.
where's our league? Like
Yeah.
we're a mid-major. Come on, it's
Yeah.
a really good league.
Yeah, really good. Yeah, really good, coach. And it'll be fun to watch you build that team up in that league, that conference tournament. I would love to get out there and go watch that.
I mean, if these
Man.
guys are staying up late at night, man, don't be chasing girls and stuff like that. Sit and watch a basketball game.
Right?
San Jose, man, the Spartans.
Yeah, we have great basketball right here in Texas, so I'm sure you've had great success. I know at Nebraska Pettigrew, got from Galveston Ball and had a great career, and you've had great players from Texas come out there.
Still playing professionally, doing well.
See, so good, coach, and I know you'll have some Texas guys on your roster.
Definitely.
And we have a lot of Texas guys listening, coach. Speaking of San Jose doing cool things, what about that court, coach? You got to tell me about that court.
Yeah.
How did that idea originate, and what's going on there? It looks cool.
So not for me. I was totally against it, but I didn't know anything about it. So originally my AD, he put this, he wanted to tie it into Silicon Valley. Mm-hmm. And so he had all this craziness running, you know what I mean?
Yep.
And so you had all this kind of like, I don't know what it was, but if people haven't seen it, we'll put something online about it. Yep. But it's blue, and it's got what would be, I think, like information flowing down the way. And I have to say, they look like sperm swimming to me. I'm just saying is what it looks like, right? So that's what I told the AD. I'm like, what is this? What's going on? And he never told me it glows in the dark.
Yeah.
So when you turn the lights off and you hit this LED light, it glows in the dark. I never knew that until they announced it. So the trick was on me. And I think that's really a cool feature. And, we were a very good 3-point shooting team this year. We made over 10 a game. And I said, so my joke was, well, when we shoot the lights out, you all right, one of those deals. So what I thought was, just to know, I like there's a parquet look, and there was another traditional look I liked. And what I thought was super good ideas, they kind of played the trump on me and put me in the corner on that because I like it. I think it's a cool idea, and it's going to be a big hit, at least in pregame. If the product isn't too bad on the floor after that, the pregame will certainly look cool.
Yeah, it looks real cool. And the glow in the dark when you leave the building is just glowing. It's cool, coach. And, for recruiting, it'll be cool when I'm sure you already have the guys on recruiting trips and you show them that, walk in there with the lights out.
Everybody likes it. Everybody likes it. So it's fun how it all worked out. But it's like, listen, I had a surprise party when I was 16 years old. I was youngest of 5. I had 3 older sisters, right? So 2 of them got together and threw me a surprise birthday party when I was 16. And they did stuff like we had like a scavenger hunt. And on my sheet, it was like, find the Holy Grail, which you search all day. You search all your life. Then we did a thing where who can eat a banana the fastest? So you wear a blindfold. They cut up a banana, put it in a bowl, and they say, ready, set, go. And you start eating the banana. Everybody else takes their blindfold off. And they put their banana in my never-ending now banana bowl. So I'm eating like 3 bananas now before I realize that the trick's on me. They did another one where you put a piece of gum in whipped cream, and you have to put your face in there and grab the bubble gum, and then whoever blows the biggest bubble. Well, mine didn't have any bubble gum, So like I don't like surprises because of my sisters.
Your sisters messed that up. Yeah, they messed that up. Yeah.
I hope to goodness when St. Peter has them, they have to answer in a toll for this.
Yeah. Well, you don't like surprises. Your sisters trained you well for this, Coach. Coach, bringing it to leadership. Everyone that has worked for you, I know a lot of people who've worked for you on your staff, and everyone just says great things about working for Coach Miles. And I know you personally, and you're just a fun guy to be around. You have a lot of charisma. Coach, what does leadership, 2 questions here. What does leadership mean to you in a basketball program, and you as the leader of the program? And then second, how does it permeate then through your players? What do you want out of your players from a leadership standpoint?
Yeah, I think those things are one and the same. And I think the easiest way to say it is to talk the talk and walk the walk. So everybody can give up and give a good speech.
Yep. You
just talked about charisma or whatever, right? There's a lot of dynamic personalities in the world doing a lot of really good things and a lot of really bad things. Right. So one is having this idea of who we are and who we're going to be, and then also doing those things, right?
Right.
So I think that's super, super important, whether you're a player, and that mentorship is important. I've been fortunate. I've hired 19 guys since I went Division I. I've hired 19 men to
Yep.
coach for me. 7 have gone on to be Division I head coaches. 7
Wow.
are high major assistants. 2 are with me. 3 other guys. One is Phil Beckner, who's an NBA trainer
Yep.
that everybody knows and admires.
He's great.
One guy's great. He's a high school coach now, doing really well. The other
Mm-hmm.
guy sells pharmaceuticals and makes more money than all of us. So I don't, like, I hire a lot of smart guys.
Yeah.
And so when you look at this in your lifetime, right, hiring the right people, the guys that want to lead. And I think that's one
Right.
thing. I've always hired guys that aspire for a little more. I'm not afraid of a guy who's an assistant coach who wants to be a head coach. I'm not narrow enough or worrisome enough that this guy's after my job or something like that. I don't think that ever.
Right.
You want ambitious, strong men with
Absolutely.
you. And I tell our guys, my 4 qualities I evaluate on and hire on, right, are simple. One, the first thing, and it impacts winning, is mentorship.
Mm-hmm.
Your ability to mentor young people and be that leader and do all those things, right? The second one is your ability to recruit, right?
Yeah.
You've got to be able to have those connections and recruit. Third and 4 are I've separated for me. 1 now is skills training, your ability to go on the floor and make a player better and find out what he needs to do. And I'm still old school. I still look at balance. I don't do a lot. I don't have a lot of great drills, but I can see, like, when a kid's, body balance is off on his shot, or, he doesn't play off one foot. I can still see what it takes to be a successful player. And I work on those things for me, right? Well, I've got another younger assistant that he's got every Phil Beckner trick in the book, right? Juggling tabs on their head, right?
Right.
That's great, right?
I'm the same way you are, Coach. Yep.
If it translates, right?
Yep.
So skills training is important. And then the 4th is your ability to scout an opponent and coach in a system and practice.
Yeah.
And my system in particular, right?
Right. Yeah.
Right. So you've got to be able to adapt and be able to do those things. And some buckets are going to be bigger than others, right?
Mm-hmm.
And they're really important. But when you look at those 4 buckets, so to speak, that's your responsibility as an assistant coach. That's your responsibility as a person who's going to serve our student athletes and our young people and do that well and right. So, I've like I say, I've been around a long time, I'm working on my 26th season as a head basketball coach at every level.
Right.
NEIA, Division II, Division I independent,
Yep.
Division I mid-major, high major, and so, like, people ask me all the time, hey, can you look at my son? I know he doesn't. I said, listen, I'll look it through from whatever lens you want. I'll put a kid on any team that I've had and tell you where I think. And there's a lot of kids I've I think he'd be a solid player on my Mayville team.
Yeah.
Oh, coach, and they're so disappointed. I'm like, that Mayville team won 2 league championships.
Yep.
That Mayville team the next year that I left won almost 30 games, man.
Yeah.
I mean, they're really good. That's a great experience. There's nothing wrong with that.
Right.
And what's hard for if high school coaches in Texas or wherever are listening to us now, I really feel for the young high school students right now. College has got the COVID year, right?
Yes.
Well, the COVID year is not 1 year; it's 4 years, right?
Right.
So you get that 1 year, So let's just say 85% of the kids or 75% of the kids decide to stay. Now there's this glut, and now we're 1 year removed from it. So now it's only 3 quarters. After next year, it'll be half. But those kids that were seniors last year, now rising seniors, rising juniors, they've got to compete against that. Yep. And it's hard for junior college kids. Yep. And I feel for them. And I'm happy for the kids that got the extra year. But what I said is we had a phenomenal NCAA tournament, didn't we?
Yep.
Why don't we give them 5 years then?
Yeah.
Why not give them 5 years?
Yeah.
That would also help these high school kids. I think.
Yeah.
They'd have a chance. That. Like, you could go to junior college and still have 3 years of college.
Yep.
And so, let's face it. There are no rules anymore. We just referenced that when we're going to conference realignment and stuff like this, and now name, image, likeness. Let's really think this through on what's going to be best for these young people coming up.
Yep. Yep. Coach,
I got a lot of great ideas, Danny.
Coach, I know you do, man. Outside the box thinking. That's why I had to get Coach Miles on. That's my guy right there. I love it. Coach, one other thing about your assistant, your Ben Johnson, when he played at Wisconsin Green Bay, I'm from up there. So
Yeah.
him and Tony Bennett, come on, that backcourt, and he could lock people up. So if your best player, put your assistant coach, I'm sure he still has it. Just tell him to go play defense again. No one could score against young
He's
Ben
still
Johnson.
built like a brick.
I believe it.
Man. I mean, he so Tony and Ben were together. I saw him like we were in Atlanta together.
Mm-hmm.
And I said, Tony, Ben always complains you never let him shoot, which is not true at all. Ben wouldn't complain about anything.
Right.
But Tony's like, oh, what? I mean,
yeah.
He's a fan. I'm like, Tony, man, you're okay. You've won a national championship. I'm just busting your chops here.
Yeah, and Tony, I think, still is the all-time three-point percentage king in NCAA. He's either one or two, Coach. He was phenomenal. Phenomenal. And that's good stuff.
Player.
Good
right after
player.
we were done, there was a kid I tried to recruit, Jeff Norgard from Dawson Boyd.
I know. Yeah, Coach. Yeah.
Who could throw a football like it was like a Nerf ball. He could throw it like 80 yards. He could have done what he wanted. There was a kid up there too at the same time, Todd. What was he?
Eisner? From? Todd Eisner?
No,
that was before. Yeah,
that played professional football for the Vikings and the New Orleans Saints. He was from right outside of Marshall, Minnesota.
Okay. I think I know what you're talking
about. Yeah. His brothers went to South Dakota State and played there. Anyhow, so like this southwestern area of Minnesota had these studs that could play multiple sports and professional sports in basketball, football, everything like that. And Todd Bauman, he ended up at St. Cloud State and then ended up in the NFL.
Yeah.
Shane
Coach.
Bauman, his brother that went to State.
Yep. Some great athletes, great players there. Coach, I want to go back to leadership and ask you a question quick. Take us through a meeting. Some people don't like meetings. I understand that, but it is necessary, a staff, to meet and maybe it's whiteboarding your recruiting chart or your depth chart. Maybe it's talking about planning a practice. What is it like in a Coach Miles meeting, just in the office and you're talking, how often do you meet? Because a lot of people are just curious what it's like to be a D1 basketball assistant coach. And just, can you kind of walk us through a meeting with Coach Miles and how often you do meet?
Yeah, good question. Not enough. We meet, we at least meet once a week. We even might Zoom meet just like in the evening once a week too.
Yep.
That's so convenient. Now everybody can do it from their phone or their laptop.
Yep.
And you can, Zoom, by the way, borders the campus of San Jose State, their world headquarters do. So
Silicon Valley.
And, but when we meet, the first thing is, even like today, we had a recruiting meeting, lasted maybe an hour. Okay.
Yep.
And the first thing we did is, what's up with our guys? Let's just, no matter what, we talk about our guys.
Yep.
And what's out there, who knows what. And everybody's got to have a voice in meetings.
Okay.
Now, here's one thing I'll tell you. And whether you're an assistant coach or a head coach, the same rule applies. There can never be a fear of communication.
Love that.
So let me roll you through an example of fear of communication. Jerry Sandusky doing what he was doing at Penn State. Nobody wanted to upset Joe Paterno. People were afraid to go to him, suspected things. There was a fear of communication. They knew Paterno loved, the coaching staff the way it was, and they had a very high level thing going, right? Mm-hmm. So somehow there was a failure of communication or a fear of communication. Like, I can't tell my coach that, or he'll be mad at me, or right. So if you've created that environment as a head coach, you're wrong.
Yep.
Right. That cannot happen.
Yep.
Second of all, if you're not confident enough in your own skin as an assistant coach to go upset that head coach, you're wrong. Right.
Yep.
You've got to be stronger and you've got to be better. Okay. So, now the Paterno thing is just an example that's always stuck with me since somebody said, there's a fear of communication. Now, if you watch the old movie with Cool Hand Luke, where what we have here is a failure to communicate or whatever. Right. That's the one I always laugh about. But really, it's about the fear of communication that hurts you and that can hurt a program, that can hurt a franchise, that can hurt a basketball team, whatever it might be.
Right.
And so everybody's got to have a voice and got to be willing to speak up. And we have to be able to disagree reasonably. Okay. Yep. And again, if you're so insecure that you can't take disagreement, it's hard for you to progress in this business. We all have parents on our case. We all have results on our case, bosses on our case. We all feel like, we want to come through for the kids. All of these things can be true at one time. But at the same time, as a staff, we have to work together and be able to understand that even though we might disagree a little bit, that we're about the same things and we do care about each other. And loyalty is earned. Loyalty is due. Like, so I owe you my loyalty. You're on this staff. Like, I got to come through for you.
Right.
We can't wait till you check enough boxes before, okay, now I'm going to be loyal to this guy.
Yeah.
Like, it can't just fit a taste palette. It's got to be unconditional.
Boom.
And so with all of that being said, Dan, with the leadership part, like, there is no one cool quote. There is no one cool thing, but we all know the right thing in our gut. And we all know when we're kind of doing the wrong thing or when we're not paying attention to the diligence we need to. And we're all guilty of that at times. God, it's the best of summer. I just want to play golf, but I need to get back and knock this stuff out. Right. So we all know. Right. But I mean, if we're looking out for each other and we're not afraid to talk to each other, then those meetings might go a little longer. They might go a little longer. If you're given a meeting where nobody's talking and they're short, you've probably got a fear of communication going on.
Right.
And I'm not an office guy. I'm not going to make my guys be in the office to be in the office.
I like that. Right. Exactly.
Yes. Nope. And I tell my guys, you work when you got to work. And if you've got your work done and you go on vacation or go do whatever, go do it. Right. But you know what your work is. Like, I mean, let's do it. Right. So I really feel strongly that if you don't give them that freedom and that responsibility, the anonymity of that, you're probably letting them down and not allowing them to prosper the way they can and your program to prosper. And that's not an excuse for not micromanaging. I don't micromanage well. I don't. Some guys I have to micromanage though. And I have to fight myself like, listen, Miles, you got to get on that kid. You got to be on this guy's case or this isn't going to get done. And we talk about it with, hey, Dan Miller, listen, dude, you're not getting your follow throughs nowhere close to where it should be. Like you had 5 tasks last week, you got 2 done. You should be getting 10 done in a week, Right. And then we talk about, okay, what is your organizational system like? How are you getting stuff done? What are you using for an organizational plan? Well, what's going on in your life, because most guys are diligent. They want to work hard.
Yep.
Some guys like, I'm freaking ADHD. I'm all over the place. I've worked hard at my own version of what a weekly planner, daily planner looks like. And that works for me.
Yep.
So, as we get into all of that applies. All of that applies. Yep. And I just feel like, I'm going to hire the right guys and I'm going to let them work and we're going to be great. I just know it. And so as we meet, not enough, certainly once a week, sometimes twice a week, oftentimes for practice briefly, we might have a big week where, like, let's just say we're struggling as a team. Okay. Everybody's in watching tape. I don't always have everybody in watching tape, but we'll all come in and watch tape and just talk. Right. And talk. And the other thing I have is I've always had one assistant coach in charge of what we call our performance team. And in Texas, I think this applies. Our performance team is our trainer, right? And our strength coach. Yep. Right. And then we have a nutrition person or whatever it might be too. And that person is in charge of at least twice a month touching base with those guys.
I love that. Yep.
And I remember after wins at a certain school, we'd hide out some cold beverages, right? And when everybody left, me and the equipment guy and the trainer would crack a cold one and we'd put them in coffee cups and we'd have iced coffee. But we developed such a relationship that if there's a problem with the guy, the equipment guy would say, hey, there's a problem with this guy. Like he's complaining about everything. Okay, what's up with that? Or the trainer would say, this guy hasn't told you, but he's got like his toe is bad, blah, blah. Or this guy's fighting with his girlfriend like a maniac. I heard him on, whatever it might be, right? And not only do you form a friendship with guys that are important to your program, but also like you're listening too, and it helps your program. And so I think that all of those things matter. All of those things. We have a liaison program where like one assistant coach is in charge of let's say compliance and HR. One assistant coach in charge of admissions and international students. So if you're a liaison for those people, your job is to do one great thing a semester, like take them gear, take them out for lunch, whatever. Get to know those people across campus. I can imagine in high school there's something to that.
Definitely.
Right?
Definitely.
So, not only in college basketball, but in every, I think realm of possible, that's leadership to me is being involved and being present. And that doesn't mean you have to meet 3 times a week or 5 times a week.
Nope.
We probably meet once to twice a week, max, right? And that's a max. And during the season, certainly we'll meet before practice briefly, but that's not those guys aren't planning practice for me.
Right.
I'm not listening to them.
Yeah.
I already have all the good ideas.
Coach, you're planning that practice. But no, Coach, I absolutely love that. And old coaching office hours is just not a thing, I think nowadays. I mean, some coaches might do that, but if you're setting your office, you need to be in the office 6 a.m. to 5 p.m. You get your work done when you need to work. Some people work better in the evening. Some people,
especially with our ability to communicate.
Yes,
right?
Coach. Absolutely. Absolutely.
We don't have cords.
Yeah.
And that's what I grew up in, right? I'd walk around my office in an extra long cord, just marching around. As an assistant coach, for 7, 8, 9, 10 years, right? Just marching around on that office phone over and over. And I remember when I saw Eric Ravino at Stanford. Rev's now with, he just left Georgia Tech and he went to Oregon State with Wayne Tinkle. And he had a Palm Pilot and it was like a brick. And it was, you could email on it and send a SMS message. And I just thought, so we got him at NDSU.
Yeah.
They thought we were the craziest people on earth. And I can, like, how many emails I can do when I'm on the road? Holy cow.
Yeah.
And so, things change. So your office is your phone.
Right. Coach, you're dating yourself a little bit there, but that's part of it. Coach, you've been a 25-year head coach. You know what? It's a small world, Coach. My first text message I ever received when I got a phone was from one of your assistants, Todd Coring, I believe. It was, Coach, I'm teaching history at Seven Lakes, so I get my first text message because I got a new phone, and he was asking me about a player. So there you go.
That's awesome. TK was a worker, man.
TK, man. I love them. Built a good relationship with him. Good man. Yep. Good. He was a grinder, Coach, a good recruiter. Yeah, he was
good. He worked.
Yep. I went on a recruiting trip. Well, anyway, Coach, I got to move on to the next thing. Speaking of recruiting trips, coaches sometimes wonder what this 3-week period is like, in July, the July period. Can you walk us through how do you organize with your staff? How many coaches in Division I can go out on your staff and watch? Guys, and then how do you decide who goes to Georgia, who goes, where? Can you just kind of walk us through these 3 weeks?
Yeah. So the head coach and all 3 assistants can be out, and we're out for, I think it's Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, and so we do it both ways. But what I like is, we have our prime guys, right? So let's say that is 10 guys that we know can play in the Mountain West. And that we got to have if we can get them. And we know that everybody feels the same way about those 10 guys. So our chances of getting 1 or 2 that's your best chances to get 1 or 2.
Okay.
So I'm chasing those 10.
Yep.
So that means that there's another 30 or 40 guys, and that are secondary guys, honestly, that, it may be like, okay, hey, Coach Ben Johnson, you haven't seen these 6 guys that are going to be at these 2 events. You need to go see them. So we get your input. Because who's next after these top 10, they drop out. Bang, bang, bang. In 1 week in August, we're down to 5 of those guys, right? And so we need to add to that list, get more, replenish our primary list. So it might just mean, where we are, in that whole thing. There might be a connection where one coach is very close to a particular number of players in the EYBL. So they're all at those events, right? So he should go there because he's the guy, with the connections, with the hook. And it's about the hook, right? You got to have a hook. You got to have a relationship. So I'm there evaluating. And so it probably takes me, if I look at 4 things, let's just say I look at 4 things I'm looking for.
Okay.
I'm looking for talent, skill,
Yep.
basketball IQ and character.
Okay.
So basketball IQ and character are two different things, right? And basketball IQ is the harder, so I can see high talent and high skill usually in a short amount of time.
Right.
I can see the guy can move.
Doesn't take long.
Yeah,
Yep.
he's quick.
Yep.
And God, he's got good skill. He shoots well. Blah blah blah. All right, so now that doesn't mean he has basketball IQ, and it doesn't mean he has good character.
Right.
And you still need all four of those, right? Or at least
Right.
3 of the 4, right?
Right.
And then you're also evaluating those low talent kids or low skill kids. Let's say he's high talent, like moves well, but low skill. Okay, does he have character to get better, to develop that, skill?
Sure.
So, for me to evaluate right now, I'm way more interested in finding out, okay, how can I evaluate basketball IQ? Is he thinking ahead of plays? Is he ahead of the game?
Mm-hmm.
Right? Does he anticipate plays? Is he giving direction? Is he verbal? Is his body language good? All of those. Well, and body language kind of goes over to character. How does he hold himself after disappointment? How does he compete? How does he interact with his teammates and his coach? You know what I mean? What's he acting like?
Yep.
So you got to watch those guys a lot longer, because you can watch a kid in one weekend. He might be in a good place, a good space. That doesn't mean he's always going to be there.
Yep.
The next weekend, and you might get a different character.
Right.
So really, for me, as I'm going, I've already decided. I think I know where they are. I think I know what I'm getting with skill and talent.
Mm-hmm.
So it doesn't take me that long. Okay. But now it's okay. If he's low skill, all right, is he going to do the work? Is he got the character and the work ethic to do this? How is he, where's his motor? Where's his passion? What's he about? Why is he low skill? Is it because he's a gamer and doesn't give a crap about the game? Might be, right? Maybe it's just he's new, or he's, never been required. Like some kids, some kids don't shoot well because they live at the rim. Like you can't stop them, and there's no reason for them not to get to the rim, because every time they want to play and compete, they know nobody can stop them getting to the rim, so they never develop a good enough jump shot. That doesn't mean they don't want to, right?
Right.
So you don't know that all that much, but you got to figure it out, right?
Yep.
And so basketball IQ and character is really what I'm kind of priming on now with these top 10, because there might be a kid that, is out there that's pretty high talent, little low skill, or high skill, but not a very good athlete. And I still might take him. And they're like, well, he's not a Mountain West dude. I'm like, well, he is for me.
Yeah. Right.
Guess who gets to decide? Me.
Yeah.
So, because if I feel comfortable with his character and his basketball IQ, I can win with a guy. I can't win with all of those guys.
Right.
But I can have a few of those guys. Right.
Yep.
And so, like maybe he's got superior length, way more wingspan or something like that, so he's got some physical tools, but he's not a super duper athlete, right? Big deal. You can be a super duper athlete, and if you're low character, low basketball IQ, you can't play for me if you've got good skill.
Yep.
Nope. Now, usually that doesn't happen. If you've got high skill, usually you have good basketball IQ, but you'd be surprised how many kids are trained but still don't know the game.
Right.
Still got to play the game. You can train all you want, but you've got to play the game, right?
Right.
And you play to win the game. Right? So all of these things matter, and those are all important to me, and that's what I'm looking for, to see if I can spot a thing with my own eyes.
Right.
Because, Dan, if I call you, you may want to send me a guy, but you may want to really send me a guy because you want to come through for that kid. Well, that's not necessarily good for me. And it might not be a marriage at this point in time with your kid, my kid. It could be at a different time.
Exactly.
So if I just take your word for granted, that doesn't, I need to see it with my own eyes and get to know the kid with my own way. And so that's really what we're doing. We're chasing all over the country. I'll be at 2 or 3 events. Rarely are you just parked at one event with a certain amount of kids, so we might have me at one event and then hand the baton to the next guy. Right. And then he might take over for me. And so we're there the whole thing, but like I got a kid last week, he plays for a North Cal team, and he won 4 games when I was there. I'm like, dude, I've got to go to EYBL. I'm like, and then they lost the next 2. So I talked to him today. I'm like, okay. He goes, I know when you get there, we're winning. I think
we're winning
right before the tournament, so we'll make that run. I'm like, that's why I like you.
Yeah, I like it, Coach. And then staying with that, Coach, you see somebody you like And then how can you explain the offer process from San Jose State? Does Coach
Yeah.
Miles get
So
on the phone and give them a call, or how does this work?
yeah, so I don't like to offer unless I want to take the commitment, right?
Yeah.
So
Okay.
so
Okay.
that's the thing is that so we don't offer a ton of guys. Some people will
Hmm.
offer
Oh
guys and
yeah.
say you've got a chance to have a scholarship is really all they're saying.
Yeah.
You don't have that scholarship. You have a chance
Yep.
to have that scholarship,
Chance.
which is better than people they're not talking to.
Right.
But what is that? Is that a committable? Like I'm ready to commit, coach. I'm ready to commit. Like, is that what we're talking about here?
Yeah.
So I think that as we look at that, I think that, you talk about the 4 buckets, that's the mentorship one, right?
Sure.
Is that like, I want to be able, and listen, we've all been guilty of situations where circumstances change and now we can't come through for the kid the way we thought it might be able to do. And now we're unoffering, right?
Okay.
Like we're out.
Yeah.
Something changes. Somebody
Yep.
commits
Yep.
or like
Yep.
what's funny about this is, we offer kids and then I still don't have all my kids for next year's team on campus. Like one kid's finishing summer school and he might get an extra year back. He might have 2 years.
Yep.
So if that happens and he's more wingish than forwardish and I've offered a wing, I might not need that wing now. All of a sudden
Yep.
the NCAA gives me one more year and this kid's more wing. I thought he's more, I thought, well, he could maybe play both. No, he's only a wing. He can't rebound for crap. I need
Right.
a rebounder. I need a 4-man. So, so sometimes that changes, right? That perspective changes. And there's not one, it's usually not, I don't like this kid. I don't like that coach. Screw him. It's never that. You know
Yeah.
what I mean?
Right.
But you've got to be careful because college coaches, I think, as a whole, we can all be careful because you can misrepresent your intentions.
Yep.
And so, you've just got to be careful. In fact, we just had that, my call list today. I'm like, okay, I've not called this kid. I'm offering this kid, right? I've seen him play. I thought he was pretty good. And all those are like steadfast. Yes, coach. We've all seen him way more than you have. You liked him. We love him. Okay. All right. I can live with that. But if if I've seen him and kind of like him and one other guy kind of likes him, that better not be an offer, right? We better not be calling that kid and offering him, right?
Yep.
And so, and I also said this, like everybody's offering now. Let's find out what happens after August 15th. Let's see who goes on campus afterwards on unofficials. Let's see who commits here early in August or whatever. Because some kids who think they're going to go to name the school, Duke, right? Like Duke might be done. And all of a sudden now old San Jose looks way better. And so, there's still a lot to be determined in this next 2 months, really. And I would just encourage high school kids to pay attention to the head coach's involvement in the recruiting process.
Yes.
Because I think that is the number one indicator of success in a recruiting relationship and a future playing relationship for that student athlete.
Right. Coach, this has been so great. And we have a few more questions. But next time I'm gonna have to have you back on because I wanted to get into some X's and O's, but we're coming part 2, Coach Miles, next year. But Coach, my next question though, you always have such great ideas. You're a charismatic person. It's been so fun to watch your programs just rise, like Colorado State, year 1, year 2. By the time it's year 5, you guys are competing for the national tournament. You're in there. And I know you'll do the same thing at San Jose State. Some of the ideas you have, like when you're at Nebraska, the no-sit Sunday in 2014 against my Badgers, amazing.
Sorry about that.
No, Coach. But what are some of the things, Coach, like at San Jose State? And I know that the Twitter Ted Lasso thing, Tim Lasso was awesome, and just ideas outside the box sometimes. Is that part of it, Coach? Bringing some excitement to get fans in the stand, to see that court, to see the product, to see it grow each year. Is that important to you? Fans in the stand, of course it is. But what are some of the things Coach Miles is going to bring?
Well, it's interesting. Like one of the things, I'm going to just use one that you didn't use. It's, I think, fascinating. But I was the head coach at Colorado State, and I was at the one of the bookstores on campus, and I was looking at a hat. I love to slam a hat, right?
Yeah,
right. And there was this hat, and it was green, because Colorado State is green and Vegas gold, right? And and it had an orange A. And my high school colors were orange and black. My college colors were orange and blue. So I've always loved orange. So I said, what's up with that orange A? He goes, well, we used to be the Aggies. Colorado's A&M, we were the Aggies in like 1947 or whatever, 19. And he goes, and our colors were pumpkin and alfalfa. The Aggies with pumpkin and alfalfa.
Yeah.
So I said, I love it. I'm buying this hat. And I went to my AD. I said, I want to start once a year a throwback night where we wear orange uniforms.
Okay. Yep. Yeah.
So I went to a donor and I said, will you pay for the uniforms? And he said, if the women will do it, I'll do it for both men and women's basketball. The women did it, and it started out awful. And now I don't know if you guys have seen it, but and CSU does a whole bunch of super cool,
Yeah.
different throwback uniform things. They do a cancer one that's really cool, a
Yep.
statehood one that's really cool, and then they
Yep.
do orange out once a year too. And the
Right.
orange out is phenomenal. Everybody's in orange, and it looks so good.
Right.
And so that's what I'm talking about, right?
Yep. Yep.
So you're looking for connection. You're looking for some organic thing. No Sit Sunday was Chris Harriman said, somebody hit me on Facebook and said, nobody better be sitting down on Sunday. And he goes, it sounds like a no sit Sunday to me. And I said, no shit, Sherlock. Right. So,
Right.
And so it went, that's how it went in. And we
Yeah.
started on social media. Right.
Yep.
And so what you said is exactly true. I would tell anybody to look at where they are and what captivates people and how you connect with your community or your university or your students. And we hustle to go to the frat houses and the sororities. Well, we go to the sororities first, because if you get the girls, you're going to get the guys.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So, we do all that. Right. And, I can't tell you, like, there's no recipe, but the recipe is to hustle, right?
Yep.
To do those things, to connect, to find events. Like when I do schedule, right?
Yeah.
I always look for one game where we could get bought. That's like a marquee game for our guys to go play.
Sure.
And we played at Duke, at Kansas, at Pauley Pavilion, UCLA.
Yeah.
We played at a lot of cool places, a lot of really high level teams, and usually it didn't go our way, but we did it, when I was at mid-major and lower.
Sure.
And Williams Arena, when I was in NDSU, our kids were all Minnesota kids. They loved that place.
Yep.
Right. And then we go on a trip. Like we try and go on a foreign trip when we can. And we're going to the Bahamas next year. And we try and go somewhere cool. Right. And we already have great weather out here. I mean, it's palm trees. And
San Jose.
So we need some beach, man. We need some ocean. Right.
Yeah.
So if you're doing that with your schedule, what are you doing for your fans and connecting your team to your fans? So your floor that it glows in the dark, right?
Yeah.
There's one that wasn't my idea, but I'm down with it, right?
Sure.
And how can we utilize that? We do youth programs, small size, smaller camps to, engage the youth. Because if you get the kids, you get the parents.
Parents
right?
coming to the games.
Know this, right?
Yep.
And if you get the kids, you get the grandparents.
Yeah.
And so all of those things matter. How you engage those people in your programs and how you get those people involved, I think, matters. And there's no like, hey, we'll just run camps and we'll just do clinics and we'll just do this. Like, it's not, there's, that works for like one guy, Don Meyer.
Yeah.
Right. And it worked great for Don. But he was only committed to that. That recruited that. They recruited from their camps, right?
Yep.
And so they fundraised from all that stuff. Like everything that they did was from that. Okay.
Yep.
But I just think it's more organic from that. And every community, San Marcos might be different than San Jose, and Marshall, Minnesota is different from Fargo, North Dakota, which is different from Lincoln, Nebraska, and Fort Collins, Colorado. Everybody's got their unique deal. And it's your job as a coach to figure that out.
Absolutely, Coach. And I know that energy at San Jose State's going to be rocking. Coach, Hawaiian Night back at Southwest. Come on now.
You know where that got stolen from, right?
No. Where did it?
So Aberdeen, Northern State had I Hate Winter.
Okay.
So it started with I Hate Winter. And they had it forever. So then Southwest, before, every time Northern played at Southwest, they had Hawaiian Night, which is what we called I Hate Northern Night. Right?
I love it. I love it.
Yeah, it was awesome. Yeah.
Coach, I was looking at your resume, man. You've had 25 years all in college. You never coached high school.
No.
You went from a player at Mary right to taking over.
Wait.
Did you have 1 year in high school?
No, I taught elementary school, so fourth graders and college male athletes. I was prepared for this.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Coach, I was in college and so many stories, Coach. I mean, I'd imagine, from building up all these programs, NAIA, and coaching in the Big Ten and now San Jose State. Give me something, Coach.
Dan,
yes.
So when I started out, I made $3,000 as a graduate assistant at Northern State, right?
Wow. Yes.
So they make me the assistant basketball coach.
Yep.
They have a big write-up in the nursepaper. Tim Miles, the new assistant coach, and took over for a guy named Todd Jordry, who helped me out. Bob Olson was our head coach.
Yeah,
and
good coach.
It was $2,500. And
took a pay cut.
Yeah, took a pay cut. from GA to assistant. So then I was supervising student teachers because it was the first Iraq war. And
Okay.
so we had a whole bunch of ROTC people Air Force Reserve that
Okay.
were faculty members. So they didn't have enough people to cover student teachers. So I covered the student teachers, right? And evaluated them, did that whole thing.
Yep.
Then I worked at a sporting goods store and I was printing T-shirts, on a hot press thing, carbon trophies.
Yes.
So I had
Grinding.
PE gear and a jock to one of our number one recruits at Aberdeen Central High, Jeff Oakes. He goes,
Did you get him?
I need a jock too, coach. Yeah, I said, is that a medium? And he goes, no, it's a large. And so I got him an extra large, and it was great. And so we got him. And so I was a guy selling jocks, printing T-shirts, whatever it took. I did that, and then I did some fundraising for Northern. And when I took the Mayville job, I taught 13 credits each year, and still coach basketball. I taught everything, man, and it was awesome. When I did my student teaching elementary and PE in 1989, I taught pickleball.
Oh, wow.
And I played pickleball for the first time 2 months ago. And I said, no, I know how to play. I did this in 1980. I didn't know it was going to pick up 30 years later.
Yeah, it's making a big comeback. But coach, all those stories of you grinding through that, that's what makes you who you are, though, right? I mean, that's how you build these relationships because you've been through all that. It's not like you just get the Nebraska job and snap your fingers or something.
No. We never did it for money. I've been paid a lot of money to coach college basketball, and it's super cool. It's allowed my kids to go to college for free, and we vacation, and we've saved money and live in cool places, and I'm grateful for all that, but that's never why we did it, and it never occurred to us that that's the way it's going to work. When you look at that, I always wanted to be in control of my destiny.
Yeah.
So people say, how can I get involved? Who was it told me? I forget who it was last week, said, if you want to make money, get involved in whatever level you can at the highest level. If you want to be a hell of a coach, take the lowest level because you get to do more. And I started at the low level, see, NEI too, right? NEI. And I got to do everything, even the crap work, but that's how you learn. And it was really good. And I love, and it's funny. You'll sit around and a new assistant will say, a younger new assistant will say, Coach, was Kawhi Leonard here? I said, why do you want me to relive that nightmare of having to coach against Kawhi Leonard, this guy and that guy and that guy?
Right.
I was just trying to put Jimmer Fredette. I was trying to put him out of my memory, man. And I probably have a lot of stories I should share with them. I just got to get over that disappointment of getting your butt kicked by some of those guys. But it's super cool. It's a great profession. And it really comes down to this, it's fun to be a part of.
Yep.
But it's really fun when the kids are improving, and you got the team playing together to win. Yep. And if those things happen, right?
Yep.
It's fun for everybody.
Yep.
Right. It's fun for everybody. Even the guys aren't. And as a player, everybody wants immediate gratification and wants to be satisfied, right? You've got to understand, you're not always going to be completely satisfied with your role and situation. I'm not completely satisfied with the budget meeting I had with my AD yesterday.
Sure.
I'm not
right.
I'm not happy about it at all.
Yeah.
But that doesn't stop me from doing my job the best I can and playing the role I can. And so, young players have to have a little patience with themselves. And we can't be travelers. As soon as stuff goes wrong, hit the road and try to get over there. Let's stick with it and get better at this, right? And so, we all want that. And whether you're a high school coach, a junior college coach, a prep school coach, whatever, right? I think we all want that. If I'm missing something, I hope somebody tells me. But, when you look at it, coaching is it beats working for a living. Let's face it, right?
Yeah.
And you can still do your own podcast.
Yeah, exactly, Coach. Coach, you are definitely somebody who knows your why, and that's why you've turned around all these programs, Coach, from Mayville to Southwest to Colorado State to Nebraska, because you sure did win at Nebraska, and I can't wait to see you do that at San Jose State. Coach, I know you're a busy man, a good friend. Coach, thank you so much for taking the time to come on tonight. This is awesome. But I want you on part 2 next year, Coach.
We'll do it, man. Well, as you know, I've got a lot of respect for you and everything you're doing, and we do love Texas. And
Yes.
we've been trying to wriggle down there for a long time. I think
Yep.
Todd and I were together at NDSU trying to do it. We did it at
Yep.
CSU in Nebraska, and we're going to
Yeah.
do it here. And it's a great state, and I love the way those guys compete, and they're well coached and they play hard.
Yeah.
And you
Absolutely.
get a really good players. So we appreciate you having me on to help raise our awareness of who we are too. So thank you very much. And I tell you what, brews and beer, man, or brews and basketball. There's not
Yeah.
two better things in life. Well,
Right.
there's a couple things that slide
There's
in
a
there.
couple,
These are two
but they're
that
in there. Yeah.
they're right in there. Yes.
Yep. Basketball and Brew, they're up there. Yep. Yep. Coach, you're
Thanks, Dan.
awesome, man. Yep. Stay in touch. Thank you, Coach.
Thank you.
Wow. Thank you. Coach Miles just dropping so many great things tonight. I mean, it's going to be so fun to watch San Jose State just get better every year. Get your popcorn and watch them get better. They will be a winner and a contender in the Mountain West. Coach Miles did a great job talking hoops tonight. I want to thank my producer again, Jude McLaren, who makes all this possible behind the scenes and puts this podcast on. He's amazing. He's awesome. And we would also like to thank our sponsors one more time. We have Pie Society, pizza, beer, spirits, a great time. We have Zelix Ice House. Excellent place to come with your friends when you're in San Marcos. Thank you again for watching Basketball and Brew, and we can't wait to talk hoops and see you next time.